we are gonna react to these Reddit stories, which is gonna be crazy, by the way. But guys, I've already do a community post about like join my Discord server, but the link is on my channel description. Just do the new one because that's where it's always updated and lots of people. It's trying to have lots of people. But yeah, you know, that's a new one their server. Join there because it's always updated, because the other one it's not really that updated anymore. So yes, but today once again in today's video we are gonna read these stories from Reddit. um we're gonna read the craziest ones, not really like fictional stories, but they're true non-fictional. Okay, this one is the first ever topic we have here. This is called I accidentally pretended to be a strange boyfriend for 30 seconds. Okay, so this happened yesterday and I still feel second-hand embarrassment thinking about it. I 20 I was at a crowded cafe waiting in line. Place was packed, people standing everywhere, typical chaos. In front of me there was this pretty girl arguing with the cashier about some order mix-up. Nothing serious, just slightly tense. Oh, so it's a guy. It's a guy who's like making the store. Out of nowhere, the guy behind her walks up, stands next to her, and in a very casual but possessive tone goes, "What's the issue?" The vibe immediately changed. You could tell she was uncomfortable. For some reason, my brain decided this was my moment to look cool in front of the pretty girl. Okay, she looked back at me for like half a second, probably just randomly, and I don't know why, but I stepped forward and said, "Yeah, we've been waiting for a while." We. What? Not she, not this girl. We. I don't know how I got that confidence. The guy looks at me, then looks at her, then back at me, and goes, "You're with her?" At this point, I should have corrected it. End of story. But no, for some reason, I just nodded. I don't know why. Survival instinct, hero complex, pure stupidity. All three. Now I'm standing there next to a complete stranger, pretending to be involved in her situation. The girl looks confused for a second, then just goes along with it. She says, "Yeah, we ordered earlier." Damn. Now I'm deep in this. The guy's expression changes completely. He goes from casual to slightly aggressive. He steps closer and goes, "Since when?" Bro, since when? I literally met her 12 seconds ago. Before I could say anything, the girl suddenly grabs my arm, like fully commits, and says, "Can we just get our order and leave?" Damn! She grabbed his arm, bro. Now the entire cafe is watching. Cashier's confused. I'm confused. The guy's definitely not happy. There's like 5 seconds silent that feel like 5 business days. Then the guy just coughs and walks away. We collect the order, step aside, and the moment we're out of the situation, she immediately lets go and goes, "Sorry, I panicked." And I just stood there like an NPC and said, "Same." We both kind of awkwardly laughed and then went in completely opposite directions like nothing ever happened. I didn't even know her name. But for about 30 seconds, I was apparently in a relationship, but I almost got into a fight over it. Damn. Tried to help a stranger at the cafe. Accidentally said we instead of she. Ended up pretending to be her boyfriend in front of another guy and almost got into a fight. Bro risked her life just to be his life to be cool, man. What the heck? Well, glad he did not get into a fight. Almost. Alright, we're gonna find another like one of these, by the way. We're gonna find another story. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So we got a new one. This is the second one. I swear to goodness that 3 was not there yesterday. The following story is meant to be taken as a joke, but it's still 100% true. Okay? Today I went to school and I saw this stupid 3 in the front lawn that I had never seen before. It wasn't there yesterday or the day before, or the day before that. It wasn't even there on my first day of attending this school, which was 2 Septembers ago. At some point in time between when I left school yesterday at 1 p.m. and when I showed up to school today at 9 a.m., someone or something had planted an entire 20-foot tall tree in the middle of the lawn. What? They even put like 4 dang bird feeders on it. Yeah. Believe it or not, this tree was actually alive. It's only April, so there are no actual leaves on it yet. It was budding though, so it for sure wasn't dead. The weirdest part of the whole ordeal was the soil near the bottom of it. The dirt surrounding it looked like it was dug up from somewhere else and then planted there. I pounded on the dirt with my fist and listened carefully. My suspicions my suspicions were confirmed. If this stupid ass tree really was planted here overnight, they planted the entire root system as well. Crazy. I asked my English teacher, Mr. H, bless his soul, about it, and he said that that stupid ass tree had apparently been there for as long as he could remember. Let me tell you, I instantly accused him of gaslighting me. This guy is a notorious jokester, and it wouldn't be out of character for him to plant a whole tree in the middle of the lawn, just for shits and giggles. After desperately telling me multiple times that he's not pranking me, let him off the hook and went about my day. Okay, my third period eventually arrives and I'm super bored. I look out the window beside me to see if there's anything outside that's more interesting than what I was doing. Of course, that stupid ass tree is still there, practically taunting me. I spoke to my art teacher, Mrs. F, bless her soul, and my friend Ariel, curse her soul. What is this? What is with this bless her soul and curse her soul about it? To which they shared by confusion. They hadn't noted it before either. I knew I wasn't crazy. At the end of the day, I spoke to the secretary lady. I forgot her name, but bless her soul. What is with this bless her soul, dude? About it, to which she told me I was crazy. I didn't like her response, so I made a huge mistake of going up. Sorry, guys. L reader, bro. Of going on Google Maps to prove her wrong. I type in the school's address, selected street view, and that stupid tree was there. It had always been there since April of 2009, to be exact. That was before Minecraft was even a thing. I hate that stupid tree. Oh my days, that's a crazy tree. So like someone calls you crazy because the tree wasn't there, but it's actually there since 2009. That is diabolical, very diabolical. Okay, we're gonna see in the next story, and I'll be right back to you guys. Okay, we're back. So this one is the don't pee with a live mic. Why would anybody pee on a live mic? Why would anybody pee that? Crazy, bro. Many years ago, I auditioned for a top 10 country music countdown television show. The show was sponsored by a huge country bar. I got the part because I made the director, sound man, and interviewer crack up, ruining the screen test. We had to do the whole thing over again. I have to add, I am not a professional actor. The show's pilot was scheduled at a swanky golf course with the understanding that we would feature the course's pro shop as a mini advertisement. We were supposed to drive around in a golf cart and tell the audience which songs were in the top 10 that week. Okay. Very nice idea. I was told to show up at the golf course wearing what I usually wear. I was wearing a Texas tuxedo. Isn't that like a fancy suit, right? Denim on denim, which black boots and black cowboy hat. This was a country music countdown after all. The other guy was decked out in fashionable golf attire. The director was not happy. He asked me why I was dressed like that. I reminded him I was told wear what you usually wear. This is the way I dress. He meant what I usually wear to golf. I am not a golfer. So the sound guy set us up with wireless microphones and reminded us that the mix picked up everything that we say. There was no script or general direction. My partner and I were just told to be funny and action. We struggled through for a few minutes, then found our groove. When wrapping up, we were at the pro shop doing our advertisement for them. I had to take a leak. When I got back, the director said, "Don't pee with a live mic, everybody heard you." I laughed, no one else did. Now, that's gotta be embarrassing. Second-hand embarrassment, Loki. You only laugh and no one's laughing, but no. The pilot show was not picked up, project was scrapped, but our Christmas party, the bloopers, were aired on a massive television screen. This time, a couple hundred people were laughing at me. Not with me. My 15 minutes of pain. Oh my days. Crazy. Alright, we're gonna do our next story, bro. Okay, we're back again. This is Rosianna. Preface. The following is a true story, but names had been changed to protect anonymity. Okay, when I was in third grade, I remember meeting a girl named Rosianna. Rosianna was kind of a tomboy. If you guys don't know what tomboy, usually that's like a lesbian. So meaning like, isn't that like who likes boys now? Yeah. So so this is a story, like a Filipino story, I would say, because tomboy just usually like a Filipino, so the Filipino make the story. And yeah, so just to know you guys, I know some of these people are not Filipino who's watching the stream. Tomboy means lesbian, yeah, who likes boys, yeah, definitely. So let's continue the story. She did talk with other girls, but often hang around with Ron, Tim, and me. Rosianna was of Irish. Oh wait, no, no, no. Wrong. Gosh, tomboy means lesbian actually. She acts like a boy, but she likes girls. That's what I meant. Gosh, stupid. Dang. So what I mean by tomboy, okay, I'm gonna go bring it back. It's lesbian. It acts like a boy, but likes girls. That's something. So yeah. Gosh. Okay, back to the story. She did talk with other girls, but often hung around with Ron, Tim, and me. Rosianna was of Irish descent. She was a year younger than me. We would pass the time telling stories and jokes and hanging out. On certain days, we would sneak around to the back of the school and catch the guy who drove the milk truck. What? Sometimes he would give us each a little carton of milk. Okay, that's why. They want milk. By the time I was in 5th grade, I didn't see Rosianna anymore. In 7th grade, I attended junior senior high school. And when I was in 8th grade, I saw Rosianna again. We didn't really get the chance to hang out as much, but I always said hi and we did chat a few times. By the time I was a sophomore in high school, Rosianna again had vanished without a trace. Okay, fast forward to 2016, I had been working in a mental health care facility for about 30 years. I mainly work on the male units. Okay, wait. Is this like a Filipino who's in an American school? Cause like they got sophomore like that, junior, senior school like that. I don't know, but we'll just I don't know. I just thought like tomboy in the story. I think it's like a Filipino story. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure about it. But let's go back. I've been working in a mental health care facility for about 30 years. I mainly work on the male units, but I was not restricted to them, and basically went about anywhere. Due to experience, I was officially transferred to cover a female unit. Doing this required extra energy on my part. I had to be alert, much more than working on a male unit, where I could more or less move around freely. I had to make sure that I was not alone in a room with one of them. After being on that unit for about 3 months, I basically knew which clients were more closely supervised. I always had a sense of alertness, no matter where I was. One day I was working my way through on a weekend, which I would cover more than one unit. Although I was clear across the room, I heard a client mentioning the name Rosanna. She was not being loud or boisterous. What's boisterous? That's deep. That's a deep word. But was just inquiring about Rosanna being there. The staff told her that Rosianna was not there. Later, I wondered, could that person be Rosianna? The thought totally consumed me until I went back to the unit and asked one of the staff about Rosianna. I was told she was a person who administered medication and that she would be back next week. The next week, I was in the unit and walked by and saw the lady named Rosianna. I recognized her eyes. In a millisecond, she was Rosianna, the girl that she met in elementary, in high school. That day was so erratically busy. What's erratically? Busy that I did not have a chance to speak with her. A couple days later, most of the clients had left for a community function. There were only a few closely supervised, and fortunately, there was no staff shortage. Believe it. And I had a chance to talk with her. She already knew my first name, so I told her my full name and asked if she remembered me. She said she didn't. I mentioned the elementary school by name and asked her if she remembered the school. She said she did go to school there, but only for so long. I asked her about Ron and Tim, mentioning both of their full names. She didn't recall either one. Okay, she probably have amnesia, bro. Because like when no one knows like especially she knows your first name and doesn't know your full name, same as Ron and Tim, doesn't know also their full names, she probably have amnesia, bro. There's gotta be a plot twist here. I wanted to ask her more, but even with it being a slow day, I didn't want to bother her anymore, and I moved on with work. I didn't see it as highly unusual that someone would forget names of people they were around. Yeah, like, dude, yeah. Like, they've been hanging around a lot. So, she would definitely know that, right? She probably has amnesia, bro. I swear, if this story has, like, her getting amnesia and she didn't know, I predicted it. Okay, I didn't see it as highly unusual that someone would forget names of people they were around. I thought maybe if her and I were away from the workplace, her thoughts might be more free and something would click with her. About a week later, I got lucky, well, kind of. My break times were limited to 15 minutes, but one afternoon I decided to add a few. I could do so once in a while. I was sitting in the break room and Rosianna came in. This time I asked her about the high school. She said that she did attend that high school until ninth grade, then moved to another town after her father passed away. Wow. She also said she lived in town where the elementary school was, but moved to another community within the county when she was in fourth grade. This explained why I didn't see her again until I was in high school, because I was a year older than her. When I asked her if she remembered any of her friends, she mentioned a last name that I remembered. There was a large family that lived next door to her, and she wanted to be friends with them. I told her yes, I remembered one of the boys because we shared class in high school. She told me that her father, who was an alcoholic, did not allow her to have friends. He told her work is your friend and you don't need friends. Wow. As she told me this, I was speechless. For years, I had thought my childhood was difficult. My father was an alcoholic too, and at times treated us kids very harshly, especially my middle sister. Even with that, I could have friends. I even spent nights with them sometimes, or went on fishing trips, going to movies, etc. These days, I am retired, working on many projects, and enjoying leisure time with friends. Rosianna is still working there. It is my hope that she had formed friendships and is enjoying them. Thanks, Rosianna. That's a very good story. And like, I feel bad for Rosianna. You know, she had a alcoholic father, and how harsh her childhood was. I hope she found her happiness, man. That's crazy. That's the most crazy story I've ever seen. And I'll be right back. We'll find another story. I'll see about it. Alright, we're back, yo. So, we got another one. My neighbor has been using my Wi-Fi for 8 months and I only found out because he complained it was slow. Gosh, I genuinely cannot make this up. Okay, I moved into my apartment last June, set up my internet, named my network, put a password on it, normal stuff, life went on. Yesterday, my neighbor knocks on my door. I've talked to this guy maybe 4 times total. Nice enough, mid 40s, wears those zip off cargo pants where the legs detach into shorts. Has a cat named Diesel. Who names their cat Diesel, bro? That's everything I know about him. He goes, "Hey man, is your internet acting up? Mine's been really slow the last couple days." I said, "Yeah, actually it has been a little slow, but I figured it was the provider." And he goes, "Yeah, same, a 100% area thing." Then he said, and I quote, "It's been great up until this week, honestly, like really fast." Something about the way he said it made me pause. I said, "Wait, what's your provider?" He said, "Oh, I don't have my own, I just use yours." What? He said it so casual, like he was telling me he brought to my parking spot sometimes. Just completely matter of fact, I just use yours. Like we discussed this. Like there was an agreement. There was no agreement. I said, "How do you have my password?" And this man looked at me in the eye and said, "It was on the sticky note on your router when you had your door open on moving day. I just remembered it." Moving day, this man memorized my Wi-Fi password from a sticky note. He saw through my open door. While I was carrying in a couch 8 months ago, he saw it once from a distance, remembered it, and has been connected to my network ever since. I don't even remember the password. I have to check the sticky note every time someone comes over. This man has a better memory of my security credentials than I do. I asked him how much data he uses. He goes, "Not that much, just normal stuff." I said, "What's normal?" He said, "Netflix, YouTube, my work emails, Diesel's bet portal. His cat has a bet portal running on my internet. I have been subsidized." What? What? Subsidizing. What is that word? Deep word, man. This cat healthcare connectivity for 8 months. Then, and this is the part that broke me. He goes, honestly, you should call your provider because the speed we've been getting lately isn't great for what you're paying. What you're paying? This man is giving me consumer advice about the internet service. He is stealing from me. He's acting like we're in a family plan. We are not in a family plan. We are not a family. I just stood there, I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to be mad, but he was being so sincere about it that I couldn't even access his anger. He genuinely seemed to think it was a normal, neighborly arrangement, like borrowing a cup of sugar instead of sugar is my entire internet connection for a better part of the year. I changed my password last night. This morning he texted me. Don't even know when I gave him my number. Maybe it was a moving day. Who knows what else is meant to observe. I said, hey, did you change the Wi-Fi password? The new one isn't working. The new one isn't working. He tried to connect. He tried to put what password? It just guessed. He tried multiple passwords to get back into my account network, like he was locked out of his own account. I haven't responded yet. I've been staring at the text for 6 hours. Details an appointment on Thursday. I don't know if we can check in online anymore. I'm showing feeling guilty about a cat's internet access that was never my responsibility. He's really a nice guy. His cat is also very nice. I'm losing my mind. That's crazy, bro. Someone like getting your password and then just 8 months after that. This is crazy, bro. We're gonna see our next story. All right, let's see. All right, we got another one. This one is when my mom humiliated my bully in front of everyone when I was a kid. Okay, I grew up in a Mexican neighborhood in Los Angeles where parties were like every weekend thing. That's pretty nice, crazy. That's crazy, bro. I was 8 or 9 years old and excited to go across the street to a kids' party that had piñatas, jumpers, and everything. My mom gave me the okay, and I excitedly went over. As I headed to the jumper, fear came over me as my neighborhood bully spotted me. I was a small, skinny kid compared to him. He was much bigger and way on the heavy side. He ended up chasing me out of the party, and I went home in tears. Damn, bro. When my mother saw me, she rushed over to find out what was going on. I explained the situation. Her first words were, "Let's go over together now." Oh no. As we arrived back, I pointed out which kid it was. As soon as he saw me, he grinned, but it faded when he saw my mom next to me. Damn. In Spanish, she cussed him out in front of everyone. She basically said, look at an elephant looking kid like yourself feeling tough picking someone who's 100 pounds less than you. Go pick a fight with a fellow elephant like you. Whew. Oh my days. All the kids stunned began to laugh uncontrollably. Gosh. Uncontrollably. And the bully with tears in his eyes ran home as someone who grew up without a dad. Oh, all I had was my mom, and I'm grateful for all the moments in my life where she had my back. W mom, man. W mom. There's also another one. Look at this. It's in the comment. As a mom, I did this to a girl teasing my son in the cafeteria. I kissed my son's cheek while I was hugging him. Then she loudly said, ew, look at his mom is kissing him. They were in kindergarten, so I replied, of course, because I love her. She had this shocked look to her face. Her mom was the same, was laughing and told me, your son looks like a girl. So I replied, of course, because he looks like me. I said that confidently because my face is on average considered pretty or at least cute. Both the mom and daughter have a bullying tendency. Okay, I didn't get to bully my kid's bully because he put him in his place after picking on a little black girl. What? Black girl. This child had been being a little prick to my son and his seatmate on the bus, and I forget what the kid did. But he made the little girl cry and then put his hands on my son, and my son just hit him once. Of course, my son get in trouble with the school, but not at home. He took him for ice cream and told him it's awesome. Okay. Damn. Okay. My mother did this to my bully, and he became my friend the next day. She was a school teacher that could put the fear of God in her students. We're still friends 40 years later. That's crazy. 40 years. Great. Okay, we're seeing the next story, so we are back. Alright, we got a new one. A story you wouldn't believe. The time we were busted by the cops, saw a couple make out and witness black magic. I swear to goodness this is not made up. I have a jungle near my place and often walk there. One day, me and my friend decided to visit the temple in the middle of the forest, so we took our map and parked near the fencing, which was busted open by people who often venture inside. Strangely, we saw many candles combined together in the shape of a cross, and blood on the floor with lemons. Oh, that's not normal. That's not normal. I'm an atheist. Atheist. Oh, atheist. So I did not give a duck, but my friend suggested we went back as this isn't a good sign. Yeah. When you see like a candles with a shape of a cross and a blood, that's not a good sign. That's a bad sign. I never back down like that. Do I ensure that nothing will happen and we step inside the forest? And you guys still continue. That you guys are cook. We were smokers back then, and I carried a pack of cigarettes with me. Gosh. These guys are smokers, man. It was steep climb to the temple above, so we were taking constant breaks and having a cigarette. Don't worry, we made sure it was properly disposed inside the bag we had brought. So I lit a cigarette at the top and handed the matches to my friend. As I was gazing through the jungle, I heard a small sound which did not seem like it belonged there. I headed in the direction of the sound, and a couple raw dogging in the middle of the forest. The guy butt naked. What? Butt naked? This. Wait. Okay. This was the first time I saw someone make out in a public place. Naturally, I called my friend and we both witnessed the romance of these lovebirds. This guy wanted to scare them, so he shouted like a cop. Oh no. They literally ran half naked, picking everything they could. We had a good laugh and went ahead to the temple and prayed there. I wanted to meditate. I do this every time I go there. It is just so peaceful. So we sat on a boulder's edge, and he played a devotional song. We were done with that and were just about to leave. Two forest officers came and caught us there. Gosh, wow. Um, Wait, by the time they came, we had run through all the cigarettes. They checked our pockets and bags. They asked every detail about us and wanted us to go to the station with them. My friend's parents are pretty strict, so his hand was shaking and he was anxious as fuck. I gave them my dad's number and told him to call, but he did not do it. Well, he gave us the ultimatum and sat on his bike, demanding us to get on the bike and go to the station. I signaled my friend to run. I've never done something like this before. I guess the adrenaline kicked in, so he followed my lead. Trust me, I've never run like that before, and it was downhill. The cop is tailing us in a bike in this difficult terrain. This dumbass fell while running. I got him up, and we again went to places where bikes could not reach, and then escaped from there. Our hearts were tearing out of our chests. What a core memory it was, dang. That's a crazy escape, bro. You got with the cops, bro. Nah, they almost got caught. They almost like got like go caught like that. Yeah, that's crazy. We're gonna look for our next story. We'll see. Alright, we got another one. I took a job at a butcher shop. Okay. So, I never pictured myself feeling like a drifter at 17. I was a loner, a dropout, a nobody, working on the table jobs to keep myself afloat. I wanted something new, something grounding, the kind of employment that felt rewarding rather than sketchy. That's when I found the butcher shop. The dusty help wanted sign in the front window felt like an omen. Like fate itself was whispering in my ear, pushing me through the front door. The bell chimed above at me as the door swung open, prompting the man behind the counter to look up from his copy of the local newspaper. Can I help you? He asked, voice dry and distant, bothering and irritated. Gosh. I told him I'd seen his sign, explained that I needed the job, tried to sell myself as a loyal, great employee, though I'd been fired by four separate employers. Damn. He studied me for a moment, eyes sharp and vigilant. The silence in the room was broken only by the low hum of the refrigerated display cases that lined the walls, each one filled with assorted cuts of meat. One of those coolers felt wrong, though it was darker than the others, more grimy, with stakes of rust snaking down its exterior. Finally, after what felt like centuries, the man spoke again.
Poor employees, huh?
The question takes me back. I had not said aloud, and why would I?
How did you? When you've been in the industry as long as I have, son, you start to pick up on certain things. Believe me when I tell you, this shop is no place for a young man like you.
I blinked with confusion. This guy didn't know me. He couldn't possibly, but after another long stretch of silence, he spoke again.
I'll tell you what, come back tomorrow. Give me some time to get the place cleaned up. I'll let you see how the business runs. Then you can decide for yourself if you want to stay.
I left the shop feeling uneasy, but also hopeful as to what the next thing entailed. That's a crazy butcher shop, man. Um, wait. Okay. So I slept on a park bench that night and showered at the old spigot. What's a spigot, bro? Near a restaurant in town. I made sure to do this early so as not to get caught by the owners or other employees. I arrived back at the butcher around 9 in the morning, and of course the help wanted sign still hung in the window. The man hadn't been lying. He really did clean up the place. The first thing I noticed was the glossy look on the previously decrepit, what's decrepit? Decrepit looking display case. I wanted to see what was inside. Ever so slowly, I made my way over to it, inching closer and closer until the man's voice stepped me in my track.
Back so soon?
Yes. Figured I'd get ahead of the curve, I replied. With a chuckle, the man gestured for me to come behind the corner.
Well, since you're here, ah,
You said with a yawn.
guess I'll give you the tour.
Guiding me back to the shop, we passed all manner of tools for the trade.
That there's a slicer, that there's a grinder, and here you have your storage.
The man opened the door, and a gust of frigid air punched me in the face. Inside, I saw row after row of animal carcasses hanging from meat hooks, swaying back and forth methodically. What is these crazy words? Methodically. Is that like a what is that? There's also something else though. Something that I'm positive was not part of a regular butcher's job. In the back corner, lying in piles against the wall were bags. Bags that held shapes that looked a little too familiar. A little too human. What in the gigachad? What? Human? Okay, Ron. Okay, it said,
Those are our special deliveries.
what do you mean special deliveries, bro? The man chirped.
Meats that our clientele pay top dollar for.
I turned to face him and noticed that his mouth had curled into a devil's grin. Oh nah, get out of there, bro. Get out of there. So what do you think, boss? Yes. Oh wait,
So what do you think, boss?
yes.
Still wanting to work?
Before I could answer him, the chiming of a bell interrupted me, and we both made our way back to the front. We were greeted by a tall, brooding man dragging one of those bags behind. I noticed that it seemed to move, twitching in ways that were unnatural. And when I heard the pain scream from underneath, the discreetness. What is discreetness? The guy had been displaying started to make sense. So why am I telling you all this? Well, I'm writing this now to inform you all. Once you get past your humanity, butcher work is a killer gig. What? Okay, that's crazy. We're gonna see our next story, bro. By the way, I'm gonna end this in 1 hour for our live stream, and I'm gonna keep going with more live streams like Instagram posts. I don't know. We'll see about that because this was not. I mean, like, yeah. So we'll be right back for another story, bro. We are back once again. We are here in this one. A 15-year-old, I made my therapist laugh hysterically. So when I was the age started stated in the title, I was walking along the train tracks with a high school friend. I had picked up a half full water bottle from along the tracks and was just carrying it, slushing the water back and forth as we walked and talked. We came to a bridge section that brought the tracks over a residential street. We had stopped and were looking down at the street when I noticed a guy walking his dog, being the rude, impulsive, and society bucking teen that I was. Without really thinking, I yelled, "I'm an angry youth!" and launched the bottle at the guy, then took up running before the bottle could even land. I at least did it in such a way that I would never land near him, but not actually hit the guy, and I did hear it hit the ground as I ran. A few days later, when I told my therapist, he started laughing hysterically, having to force myself to stop and wiping a tear from his eye. Wait, I thought there was someone. Sorry. A few days later, when I told my therapist, he started laughing hysterically, having to force myself having to force himself to stop and wiping a tear from his eye. He said something like, "How oddly self-aware of you. I shouldn't be laughing. Please don't do things like that. You could have been charged with assault." Not really related to the story, but just wanted to mention he was an awesome therapist, definitely the coolest I've ever had. He was a recovering drug addict, wow, an alcoholic with many years of clean time, of course. He recommended me to read A Clockwork Orange. He was explaining me to that I was a budding existentialist. What is an existentialist? What is that? Oh, one who ponders and searches for the meaning of life. I believe he himself was Buddhist. Oh, he's a Buddhist. Okay, so we just seen two religions here, atheist and Buddhist. Okay, he hinted at it, but wasn't allowed me. Uh, Wanted to tell me flat out. I remember his office within the building with a tiny hole in the wall. There's enough room for his desk, a small bookshelf, and a silent chair in the corner. He had a prominent quote on the wall that read, "I can live in a nutshell and call myself the master of infinite space." 15 years later, I have always remembered that. Thanks for reading. Wow, crazy. I'm moving on to the next story, so let's find out. Alright, we're back, yo. So, got this one. Went on a ill-fated coffee date and was reminded why I'm single. So now I understand what this means, like 26F, 44M. So it's like 26 female and 44 male, which is male, sorry, like their genders, and like 26, 44, that's their age. So let's go back. Went on an ill-fated coffee date and was reminded why I'm single. So I'm 26 female. I recently met a man, 44 male. Why are you dating an old man? That's crazy, by the way. Who was very persistent. I was initially not interested, but relented the copy. I'm not focused on dating right now, but I was like, fine, I'll give him a shot. I'm very glad that I'm staying single now because this was dead ass one of the worst dates I've ever been on. And I might just want to be single forever. I've had a lot of terrible experiences and this didn't improve things. Here's a list of what went wrong. Number 1. Told me he worked for the parks department at first prior to the date. At the actual date, he confessed that he did not work there anymore and that he had just gotten a restaurant job today. This immediately turned me off. I'm no gold digger because I have my own. But how are you 44 going after a 26-year-old? Yeah, like what? You're going on a young woman and you're a very old man. And unemployed also. What? I love an older man, but you have to have something to your name at that age if you're gonna pursue me. Yeah, that's true. Number 2, so at this point, I'm immediately turned off. Nonetheless, I'm still trying to make conversation. I asked him what his goals were. He said that he had been a pro boxer in the past. Googled him. He was semi-pro and prolific enough to where he probably has some kind of CTE. What CTE? And that he wanted to go back to boxing. I'm like, yeah, but you're 44. Yeah, like you're 44. Do you still box? Like, dude, come on, man. Like you're old as fuck. I kind of reached a point where with men, I'm not smiling and nodding anymore. He was like, that is true. That is true. But I believe in myself. Listen, as a creative, I'm all for believing in yourself or whatever the case may be. But how am I more practical than you? And I'm 18 years younger. I work with kids all day and most of them are significantly more practical than he is. Number 3, I asked him what he did in his free time. He said he liked watching YouTube. This man is unemployed. He said he didn't have a lot of friends because people are jealous of him. What are they jealous of you, man? You're just watching YouTube every day. I said, if you're 44 and you don't have any friends, it's your fault. Definitely. He said that I was coming from a different perspective because men or women are different. Which leads me to number 4. He said men and women can't be friends. What the fuck is this, man? What the fuck you, men and women can't be friends? Okay, that's stupid. And they definitely can be friends. I don't know. I mentioned a guy friend, and this dickhead was saying men and women can't be friends, and this, that, and the other. He said that all my male friends are trying to smash. Not all people want to smash other girls, bro. It depends on if they like the girl or not. What is with this 44-year-old man unemployed watching YouTube every day? I mentioned my friend's birthday. Is that birthday? Who is also my coworker or friend. He said that he was also trying. Oh no! He was trying to smash. I'm pretty doubtful of that because my friend would kill us both. But whatever. He then asked if he could see me again, and I said no, definitely not. Hell no, you're not getting a date again. He asked why, and I replied that we were not compatible. He said, I hope you find a man who's down with all those guy friends you have. Which is goofy because you want to be that guy before I told you. Guy right before I told you I didn't want you. But again, that's great. Anyway, that's the end of my story. Wow. That's crazy, bro. Alright, we're gonna find another story where that's crazy, bro. Crazy. Okay, we got another one. So this one is a man sold his furniture to save his sick baby. 11 years later, a DNA test proved his wife had kidnapped the child from a hospital. He then spent 7 months playing detective to track down the baby's real father. What? Okay, this is the whole story. I am not competent in my English, so I relied on AI a bit to write it. This sounds like the plot of a Hollywood trailer, but it recently unfolded in real life in Egypt. The story of Mohammed Khamis is going viral in the Middle East right now for being one of the craziest yet most heartbreaking displays of moral integrity ever. Here's the breakdown of exactly what happened. The setup 2015. In 2015, Mohammed's wife went into labor. While he was away at work, she went to a hospital in Alexandria and returned hours later with a premature, severely underweight baby boy. The baby was extremely sick. He had 3 holes in his heart. 3 holes! And a severe hernia. Muhammad loved the boy. Named him Hamza. Wait, that name's kinda familiar. Hamza. Hamza. By the way, welcome. 2 people are in the chat. In the live. Hi guys. Okay, so continue. And literally sold his household furniture to afford the surgeries and treatment to keep the baby alive. He spent the next 11 years raising him, treating him as his favorite child, and teaching him how to memorize the Quran, which is like the book from Muslim, I think so, yeah. The twist, 2024, fast forward 11 years, Muhammad and his wife are having severe marital issues. During a vicious argument, his wife's family tries to blackmail him. They accuse Muhammad of taking in his sister's illegitimate child and forcing his wife to raise it to cover up a family scandal. To prove his sister's innocent, Muhammad secretly gets a DNA test for the 11-year-old boy. The results drop a nuke on his file. The boy has 0% DNA match to Muhammad, 0% match to his sister, and 0% match to his wife. Wow! Definitely a thriller. What a plot. Not even his wife. Not a match. What and who it is? The confession. Muhammad immediately divorces his wife knowing she would deny everything to the police. He worked with his older biological teenage son to set a trap. The teenager secretly records a phone call with his mother, manipulating her into thinking the police are coming. Panicked, she confesses in 2015 her own pregnancy had issues. Fearing Muhammad would leave her, she wandered to the hospital, found a woman, distracted by medical paperwork, grabbed her newborn baby, and walked out the back door. Oh, she switched the baby. No way. She switched the baby because she thought that Muhammad would leave her. Oh my, no, oh my days. The investigation. At this point, Muhammad could have kept quiet. He loved the boy deeply and was the only father that the child ever knew. But his conscience wouldn't let him keep on her family's child. He begins a relentless 7-month investigation. He scores Google for news articles from August 2015 using the keywords kidnap baby Alexandria. He finally finds a forgotten archived news article from 2015 about a baby named Paris or Fares. Let's call it Paris, who was stolen from the exact same hospital. Acting as a rogue detective, Muhammad rides a tuk-tuk for days through the slums of Alexandria, following old addresses. He eventually uses the names from the article to legally pull a birth certificate which gives him the real father's phone number. The bittersweet resolution. Muhammad calls the real father, who is initially terrified it's a cruel scam, as he had been searching for stolen son for 11 years. Muhammad sends him photos. The boy looks exactly like his biological siblings. Muhammad voluntarily hands the boy over to his real family. Tragically, the biological mother will never get to see her son. She passed away 2 years ago, her heart broken from losing her baby. During the handover, the boy was crying, clinging to Muhammad's leg, not wanting to leave the only dad he ever knew. Muhammad said it felt like having his heart ripped out of his chest. Today, the ex-wife is facing severe criminal charges. The boy is living with his biological father, but Muhammad still visits him regularly. Okay, so meaning like his real children, a son, is with his still with his biological father, but Muhammad still is okay. When asked by an interviewer why he didn't just hide the truth to keep the son he loved, Muhammad replied, "I couldn't live a lie. The boy was a trust placed in my hands, and you have to return what isn't yours to its rightful owners, no matter how much it destroys you." That's a very humble man. That was 2 days, by the way. 2 days. Crazy, crazy story. You know? This is the most crazy story I've ever seen, and how it's so crazy. Like what a plot! It was not even his wife that got like had the DNA match, and not even his sister. Like it was a different. If she switched the baby, that's just diabolical, man. We're gonna go to the next story, bro. Alright, we got another one. It's a very long one. Can't eat at home anymore. So my brother, 32, a construction worker, got together with a woman last January. She moved into a rental close to our home, got pregnant, and they had a son. A few months later, my brother lost his job and was eventually kicked out of this place. He came back to live with our mother, who is a single woman. Out of compassion, my mother allowed his girlfriend to stay too since she had a baby. She was welcomed and started doing house chores. Then in early January this year, I suddenly fell sick, something that hadn't happened in over 10 years. Wow. When I went for a checkup, the doctor said there was a condition developing, but because my body hadn't been sick in so long, the reaction was severe. I lost my appetite, vomited, developed a fever, and became so dehydrated I couldn't stand properly. I had to be given medication in a bed. After that, I stopped eating home cooked meals and switched to food from small restaurants while taking supplements. That's just crazy, man. Even still, like foods that are like from restaurants, I know like it's still like homemade, some of them, but to see that you're starting to like having what say problems on your body, I don't think like food from restaurants are not that good because some of them are oily. I would say. Slowly I recovered. Okay, he got recovered really good. Got off the medication and eventually returned to normal. Even going back to the gym, my mother thought it was just a normal illness, but I wasn't convinced it didn't feel like the usual flu or cough. I felt like I had almost lost my life. That's crazy, by the way. Today I was hungry and decided to cook before leaving for work. What I found in the kitchen disgusted me to the core. Dirty utensils had been left for about a week with fungus growing in them. Hell no. The stench came was unbearable, so I took them out. She came over, pretending not to know anything, which left me speechless. She had cooked rice, but instead of covering it properly, she had placed a black polythene bag over it. That infuriated me even more. I went to her. She was sitting comfortably in the living room watching TikTok. She asked why she covered rice with a plastic bag. He looked at me and said, "That's how she always cooked it." At that moment, I felt terrible for my family and told her never to do it again. I left and cooked myself a clean meal because I couldn't eat what she had prepared. That's why. So her like it's just like the girlfriend. So the girlfriend like did something that make that guy sick. That's crazy. From this point on, I can't trust anything she cooks. I felt like I need to tell my mother or even call a family meeting to discuss what's been happening before something worse occurs. I'm already planning to start cooking for my family myself. Everything now makes sense. Even my mother has been aging unusually fast since they moved in, and the house has developed a strange stench. Enough is enough. I think this woman has very poor sanitation, which might explain her bad body odor too. Gosh. Whatever I do next will be for my family's good. That is crazy. Okay, we're gonna do the next story, man. Be right back. Alright, we're here. So, let's see this one. My dad mess texted his coworkers a photo of his what? Of his foot, and now he's blaming me for setting up his phone wrong. Okay, so my dad got a new iPhone last month, his first one. He's been on Android since forever, and I made the mistake of helping him set it up because now everything that goes wrong is my fault. Yesterday he calls me at work, not text, calls. He goes, I need you to come over tonight. There's been an incident. I said, what kind of incident? He said, a photo incident. I said, are you okay? He said, physically, yes. So I go over and he hands me his phone and opens the messages app. And there in the group chat with his entire department, like maybe 15 people, is a close up photo of his foot. Just his bare foot on the bathroom floor, toes fully out. You can see the bat mat, you can see his little shower, caddy in the background, it's a whole scene. He said he was trying to take a photo of a rash on his foot to send to my mom, which fine, but somehow he sent it to the work group chat instead, and then tried to delete it by sending the same photo again. So there's two. Two feet in the work chat, the same foot from slightly different angles. I said, Dad, why did you send it twice? He said, I thought the second one would replace the first one. Replace. He thought it worked like an edit. He thought if you send the same thing again, it overwrites. That is not how anything works. Yeah, that's true. His boss replied, nice tile work, Gary, which I think is the funniest thing anyone has ever said under pressure. Someone else just sent a thumbs up. One woman replied, wrong chat. And my dad didn't respond to her because he said, I didn't want to draw more attention to it. There are two photos of your foot, Gary. The attention has been drawn. Then he looked at me completely serious and said, I think you set up the context wrong even when you did my phone because that group chat shouldn't even be there. I set up nothing. What is wrong with his dad, bro? I turned the phone and signed into his Apple ID. That's it. He made the group chat himself. I watched him do it. He was so proud of it. He called it the work crew with a hard hat emoji. I helped him with delete the photos and he said, okay, good. So they're gone from everyone's phones now, right? No, Dad, that's not how that works either. Those feet are forever. His co-workers, Linda, has apparently screenshot it and put it in their break room with the caption, Gary's sole contribution to the team. My dad doesn't think it's funny. I think Linda deserves a raise. What a story, bro. That's crazy. Alright, we'll see your next story, bro. Alright, we got another one. Okay. My parents should have eaten me when I was a kid, but they chose not to. Ever since I was a child, I've been called one thing. Meat. I wasn't born from love. I was born from necessity. My parents were strangers, forced together and used as human incubators. They didn't conceive me out of affection or longing. I was born because it was necessary. Nothing more. Before I was taken to the processing factory, before they told me I was meat and always would be. My mother told me a different story. I don't remember everything, only fragments. The warmth of her arms as she rocked me, the softness of her voice as she sang me to sleep. The story she whispered about how the world used to be when she was a kid with a mommy and daddy who loved her. Stories where people were more than product. About the good times when children were born because they were wanted and they had friends and went to something called school. And the bad ones when she turned 21 and normal life came to an end. It started with a virus that made people sick, unable to eat and digest normal food. They began to experiment. Animal meat was indigestible. Fruit and vegetables taste like poison and poisoned the immune system. The entire food supply was gone. So that's how little one. My mother would finish, dangling me in front of her. Her eyes hollow and dark, mad. Her smile that tried to be a mother but instead was a monster. They decided to start eating people. What? People? Okay, what? She swung me back and forth, giggling. That's how your father and I met. On the floor of the blue factory, where we were matched, fell in love, and made you, our learning little Bessie. To a child, it sounded like a fairy tale. Mommy and Daddy meeting in a scary place and fighting each other. But Dad's skull, the way he refused to look Mom in the eye, made it clear that the reality was too scary to fully comprehend for a child. Dad sometimes spoke to me when I was sleeping or pretending to be. His silhouette lit up the doorway of our tiny little home with barred windows, a refrigerator with scarlet stained edges. I wasn't allowed to look inside. I never loved your mother the way I was supposed to love her. He spoke softly, always with a always with a lit cigarette between his lips. I liked Dad's stories. They were less magical, some more realistic. The Blue Factory was a nightmare dressed in daydreams, a baby farm which stripped my parents' right to choose. I didn't even like women. There was someone else. He trailed off, sputtering a little, but part of me felt for your mom in a very different way. In what way? I asked sleepily, my head buried in my arms. I thought he'd be mad that I wasn't sleeping, but I just lightly laughed. Well, you don't have to like someone to love them, he said softly. Dad's stories were different, darker. Mom told me it was love at first sight. Dad told me they were assigned a number and kept under strict observation. He spoke of cages with metal bars and the evil humanity had to offer. As a child, it sounded like he was trying to scare me, but Dad was just traumatized, reduced to a cog in a machine with no thoughts, no feelings. Mom was a body, just another way to make me. Make me. I wasn't allowed to cry or scream or even laugh. Mom said if I was too loud, the bad people would take me away. For 5 years of my life, I lived in a single room and ate rice and beans for every meal. Is it okay to eat rice and beans every day? Like every meal, bro? I don't know about that. My father would guard the door and tell me every day I'm not letting them take you. I was naive. I believed him. I believed my father could protect me, that we could all exist happily in those four walls and we would be together forever. It was my fifth birthday when my father told me the truth about the blue factory. I remember opening my mouth to ask why, when at the same instant the bad man shot through our door and put a bullet to his brain. What? Then another hollow point hitting my mother was desperately shoving me under the loose floorboards. As she bled out, her blood dripping out onto my hair through termite-infested flooring, the last thing she said was, "Baby, never forget the stories." She was so warm, her blood was like hot tar, scarlet tears staining my face. Oh, no, she got burned? No. As I peered up at her vacant eyes and grinning mouth through the cracks, I couldn't help wondering if she was relieved she didn't have to run anymore. Remember, Bess, Mom told me through the gutter of her throat, red pouring through her lips, she died before she could finish her sentence, but I already knew what she would have said. You are not me. The ghost of her words slammed into me as my hiding space was discovered, and I was yanked back up, numb. I only see bare shapes through Mom's blood as I was pulled inside. A blurry tree and a stretch of pitch black sky. Mom insisted used to wear stars. I tried to run, but I was violently dragged back to by my hair and unceremoniously tossed in the back of the van. I finally saw the stars. You weren't made for eating. You are a human being. This story is like magical, bro. Like, what is with this story? It said it's non-fiction, bro. Go back, okay? Oh, it's fiction. Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, so it's actually not real. But this is like a very, very cool story, bro. It was not fictional. I mean, yeah, it was not. Definitely. It was fiction. Where was that? Okay. Where was that? Where was that? Where was that? Where was that, bro? Okay, there it is. The door slammed shut and I was left choking on a sink of rot. There were bodies and body bits around me, some of them undulating, some of them not. Above me were dark red icicles, cool air grazed my cheeks, and I shivered, pressing my head into my lap. I was inside of a freezer. And most importantly, Bessie, Mom's voice hung in the back of my mind as the truck accelerated, jerking violently, sending me falling face first into a pile of squishy entrails. Whatever happens, you have a mommy and daddy who will love you always. I had to remember that I was loved. I was a human being. But mom's words started to fade. I was transferred from the truck to a big house where I had my own room. I started school with other kids just like me. I made friends and sat in a big classroom and learned that I was very special. The skin on my bones was very valuable. Through colorful movies with smiley cartoon characters and friendly teachers and catchy songs we all sang together, I began to realize I was in fact me. Part of a generation that was ready to be eaten. Mom and dad were the liars, the bad ones. They didn't tell me how special I was. They hid me because they were selfish. My teacher told me they wanted me all to themselves. They didn't want me to know that I could feed people, that the flesh on my bones would save humankind. I was meat, I wasn't a human being, I was produced. I was made to be eaten. And it was beautiful. I was beautiful. We were beautiful, the saviors of mankind living flesh. By the age of 20, I was taken from the boarding house straight to the slaughterhouse. Mom's words were a distant memory, a hollow shadow at the back of my mind. Lies, lies, lies. Mom was a bad one. Mom was the evil, selfish dregs of humanity, keeping me from fulfilling my special mission to feed the starving. I was one of the extra special ones. I was given the best food, whole grain bread and fruit that only special meat was given. Other meat, the ones who refused, the ones who fought back, were run up and used as animal meat. Not me, loaded into a cage full of fellow meat, packed together under painful lights. I sat in a corner with my head between my legs. Mom's words suffocated me. You're not meat. You were not made to be eaten. You are a human being. Shut up. I shoved her words away, instead singing our anthem to myself, the ones with the catchy chorus, the children who will save humanity. Number 6312. A man unlocked our pen and strolled over to me. He smiled, made me smile too. You've just been bought. I let him drag me from the pen, saying goodbye to all my friends. Usually, after being purchased, we were immediately slaughtered to maintain freshness. I wasn't the only one with him. Uh, Stood on a piece of meat just like me. A boy with thick brownish hair, glaring at the ground. I could tell he was one of them. The ones who refused, the ones who learned bad words and fought back, the state of him told me he wasn't fresh. His clothes were ragged and stained, his skin oily, filthy, the meat sneered at me, narrowed eyes and twisted lips. I ignored him, he wasn't going to ruin it. I was so excited to be slaughtered, finally. But instead, our buyer, a tall man wearing a long coat and Ray-Bans, didn't go near the slaughterhouse. In fact, he showed his way through the crowd of buyers, falling to us outside. Wait. I thought there was something on my mind. But wait, I managed to choke up. I wasn't used to the outdoors, the sun felt nice. What about... Before I could finish my sentence, I was shoved into the passenger seat of his car. The boy dumped into the back. No, I opened my mouth to scream, only for him to gently cover it. And then he said, shut up, kid. He breathed, strapping me in. Put your fucking heads down now. I did my eyes stinging, clutching my fist in my lap. But we were supposed to be slaughtered. This was all so wrong, so cruel. I wasn't supposed to live. Once the guard had checked the car, signaling him through the gate, I risked raising my head outside. The sun was setting. I was momentarily taken aback by the sight. Why are you doing this? I demanded. You were supposed to slaughter us. We're fresh meat. The man responded with a loud laugh. He took us home, sat us at the table, and made us a meal. The boy ate it without second thought, but I was confused. Veggies. They didn't exist. That's what we replaced. They poisoned the immune system. Right? Still want to be eaten? The man asked, his mouth full of gravy. You think you're the saviors of humanity, but I'll tell you what you really are. He poured me a glass of sparkling piss. 20 years ago, they found something inside our skin. Call it a drug. And since then, they've been hopping it like Novocaine, cocaine, the highest of Class A drugs. He met my gaze, lifted a spoonful of meat onto a spoon. You were never needed. We've always had normal food. He spat. Your parents were hunted down to breed a whole new type of high. Your meat is a luxury. He finished his food with a loud bark. Now. The man caught my eye. Do you still want me to eat you? Because I can. I bought you after all. He nodded to the sharp knife set out on his countertop. I'm happy to slaughter and eat you if that's what you want. His eyes darkened, and I noticed the red stain on his chopping board, the last one I ate. He muttered, he made me promise to give you a choice, so here it is. I'm asking you, do you want to be eaten? No. The boy was the first to speak, more of a breathy gasp. But I smiled. Yes, I said it without hesitating, without questioning my world. Next to me, my boy's head snapped as he kicked me hard. What? I ignored him. Yes, I want you to eat us. Crazy ass story, bro. Very long story. That's a crazy story. Fuck. That's crazy, bro. Like, that is a crazy story. Fictional story like that. Crazy. Alright, we're gonna do another story. Once again, and see what's gonna happen. Okay, this will be our last story, and I'll be ending the live. But don't worry, I'll be live in another one soon. So yes, but here's what I'm gonna do today. I've been married for 3 years, and I've never seen my wife without makeup. Yesterday, I forced her to wash it up. I know how this sounds, but hear me out. I have been married to my wife for 3 years, and all the time I have never seen her without makeup. Not once, not in the morning, not late at night, not even when she's sick. At first, I thought it was just a habit. Some people care a lot about how they look. I didn't question it. But then I started noticing things. Every night she applies this liquid before anything else. It smells strong, almost chemical, nothing like normal skincare. During the day, she constantly touches up her face, not casually, urgently, like something bad will happen if she waits too long. Yesterday, we were at a gathering when she suddenly froze. She grabbed her face and her breathing got fast. I said, "What was wrong?" She said, "It's nothing. My skin is just too delicate." Then she rushed to the bathroom. I followed her without her noticing. I know this sounds bad, but something fell up. I watched her pull out a small bottle from her bag and apply it to her face. Within minutes, her breathing slowed and she looked completely normal again. That was the moment I knew she was hiding something. Later that night, we were dancing. The same thing happened. She suddenly said her makeup smudged and rushed up again. So I did something I am not proud of. When we got home, I went to her room while she was in the shower. I opened a drawer and found the bottle. The smell hit me immediately. Strong, sharp, almost burning, nothing like any cosmetic I have ever smelled. The next morning, I decided I needed answers. She was standing in front of the mirror, putting on lipstick. When I walked in, I placed a bowl of paste wash in front of her. She looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" I told her I wanted to see her real face. She didn't want to. We argued for a bit, but I didn't back down. Eventually, she sighed, tied her hair black, and leaned over the sink. She washed her plate slowly, like she was delaying the inevitable. My heart was pounding. After everything I had seen, I was expecting something shocking. Scars, a condition, anything. She lifted her head. What's it changed? She lifted her head. Nothing changed. Her face looked exactly the same. Perfect, smooth, flawless, exactly how it always does. I just looked at her confused. I asked her, "Did you even take it off?" She looked at me through the mirror and said, "This is my real face." That made no sense. I told her about the bottle, the smell, the way she keeps reapplying it. She went quiet for a few seconds, then she turned to me and said something that I can't stop thinking about. "It keeps it this way." I asked her what she meant. She just smiled and I said I shouldn't have gone through her things. I don't know what thing anymore. If that is her real place, then what exactly is the liquid doing? And why does she need it so badly? We don't know about that. We will never know. But I think that'll be all for today for stories. If you guys wanted to share your drawings, videos, or stories or confession, please join my Discord server. It's on the channel's description. The new one, okay, so yes, it's always updated there, just like I said earlier and started the live stream. So once again, please join my live stream, guys. Live stream. Please join my Discord server. Please join my Discord server. It's on the channel description. It's the new one because it's always updated and a lot of things are going there. I would say. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next live stream. So, bye bye, y'all. See ya.